So what happened with it was like a lockdown then? They
Yeah,
worried about like the Muslim terrorists or what?
they hired cops from all different countries, and where they lived, I don't know, but they closed down a 4 mile stretch along the same river each way,
And the
and
river had
nobody.
was all polluted and had all
It never,
crap
it
in
never
it.
was. They were going to make it clean. Woo! Anybody ever seen this place? There was no way they were going to make it clean. I don't know if the mayor or the president, they were supposed to swim in it to say everything's fine. I don't know if they ever did. I doubt they did.
One of the swimmers that was the Olympian, he was puking and throwing up after the race.
Of course, that it was insane to even suggest this. So what I'm saying is that if you bring back Mitt Romney from 1980, they have nobody. The world seems to have almost nobody competent running anything. It's never been like this. Reagan was competent. There were people in his administration who were competent. We can complain about some, and James Watt said some funny things. I guess he had to get out of the Department of Interior, but there were people running things, governors, this and that, which is why if Kamala Harris picks one of those three people, she goes a long way to getting those extra 60% of the 5% undecided. She goes a long way because there'll be someone normal with her everywhere she goes. Right? Someone saying, "Oh, thank you, ma'am. Thank you." Someone who did real things, who actually is doing a credible job running something. An astronaut's got to be a credible guy. I'm not a fan of the Kelly guy, but he got to be an astronaut who went up in space. That means you're credible. That means you know how to do something. That means you went through a testing process. That means you are going to stick it out and get it done. That's what it means. And he's not a liberal whack job, I don't think.
No.
So, but she's going to do that because Obama has said to her, I'm sure, here's what we're doing. You get a choice among two people, and that's what she's going to do. So, but the fact that the world, Putin, what was he thinking? He's lost 600,000 people. No matter if he wins, he loses. His people don't have any children. He has to body up with China that they hate each other. And China is a much bigger military power, laughing their ass off that he's losing all these people and another million people fled the country. China's laughing because remember, go to a map again. It's the border between Russia and China that they care about. They really don't care about this stuff in China. So they'll say, "Oh, great job." And they're like, "Hey, we're getting stronger. He's getting weaker." They're pulling out 40-year-old tanks. Ukraine just sunk a submarine near Crimea. A submarine got sunk. Putin, he just should have been bluffing the whole time the way Brezhnev did. These people all over can't run anything. It doesn't seem like there's one credible person. Who's the credible person running something? Someone tell me. It wasn't the UK people. How about this one? I'll call snap elections. I'm the first Indian American. Blah blah blah. I'll call snap elections and get my ass kicked. How about Macron? I'll call snap. I don't have to call elections. I'll just do it because I'm a great guy. Gets his ass kicked. I mean, all everywhere this is happening. The guy in
Yeah.
Canada,
Oh,
he's been around. There's not. Where's the credible leader of a real country? The guy in India? Are you kidding me? Where is the guy running China is like destroying the country because he now has a dictatorship and no one will tell him anything. He didn't even know the balloons were going across America, probably. And he knows less now because no one, they tell him something, they get killed, like in Stalin's time. So they're like, everything's great. I don't know if there's a credible leader that I can speak to.
no.
Maybe you know one.
Uh, Maduro.
That guy, how about the way the press treats that article all the time? I talked this at another station, but it's like there's enough evidence that Maduro, the election is not credible. Oh, well, of course. How about Maduro killed 7 people? What do you mean that's the headline? Of course, that's what happened. They say it as if they're a little bit surprised, right? How about the guy though in Argentina? He hasn't gotten stuff passed that he wanted to. Hey,
Yeah.
there is one guy. I'm being sort of facetious. There's a guy in Zimbabwe whose name I don't know who replaced his currency with a ZAG or a ZIG, but it's backed by gold and commodities. And inflation has come down precipitously in Zimbabwe, which is known for massive inflation. Maybe he's the guy. I mean, I don't know him at all. I don't know what's going on. that same nursery school friend is landing in Zimbabwe, and I say, I need a zig. I need $1 worth of a zig because it might be a strong currency. Oh, in Poland, they
Yeah.
seem to get their act. The country of Poland, if you're young and you want to invest, I know it's close to the Ukraine bordering, obviously. That area of Poland down to the Czech Republic through Hungary, those people are well educated, smart, and it's cheap. Those are the things about the next 20 years, right? That's the, I don't know what they call that area, but that area, barring an invasion from, Russia, which I don't think is going to happen, that's the area that I think people should be looking at to invest, to own, and to be part of. If I was 23, I might go to Poland, learn the language, and stay there for a long time. And I mean, be a US citizen, but make that my growth vehicle because I think that whole area is really going to take off over the next 20 years. People forget how long it took South Korea, which is why I wanted to stay in Afghanistan forever. South Korea in 1984 was still a basket case 30 years after the Korean War. And then they kicked butt until today. And they have a high standard of living. Afghanistan would have been the same thing if we just stayed. I'm not saying we should have gone in. I disagree with that. But once you're there, it becomes a sunk cost, $20 billion a year to have a place to whack-a-mole with an Air Force base and keep people and then go after people you wanted to. That was a critically bad decision. In fact, think about it. Joe Biden makes nothing but bad decisions. If you were with him and betting on a football game, you would take the opposite side every single time. If you're with him and he said that there's a good looking lady, you'd be like, whoa. If you were with him and said, I'm going to marry that lady, you'd be like, run. You wouldn't marry the sister. Whatever he's doing, you do the opposite and you be okay with Joe Biden. Every decision he's ever made on foreign policy, he's like talking to Israel, like Israel is like got invaded Hamas. He talks to people the opposite. Everything he does is wrong. That's a whole other discussion about Israel. But go ahead. We probably should finish up, but I could go on all day.
Yeah,
about
we're gonna put a pin in this in just a second. But last topic, because we didn't touch on it, and since we're talking about the world right now, you were in London. I saw you.
Oh.
I heard you, rather, I should say, on a radio program say you would never go there again. The place was horrendous.
Yes.
They are having riots there now where they're letting the Muslims run rabid over there. And if you're white and you get beat up, if you're a white woman, you get raped. I mean, it's really disgusting what's going on.
Disgusting.
So you were there. Tell us what happened.
I was there for 4 days and I had not been there since December of 95 for business. I went there 50 times from 1990 to 1995.
And it wasn't like that at that time around.
I didn't find people who served me or got in a Uber, which used to be a cab, who had an English accent. Now, I don't really care. I don't care at all. What I'm saying is, I was eating lunch before I went to see Mousetrap to play on Saturday afternoon, 3:00 show with my wife and my youngest. And there were 300,000, not 3,000, 300,000 pro-Hamas people marching around the corner. And the only people being arrested were the people with a Union Jack saying, get out of our country. This is horrific. I will never go back to London. Now, what we did to avoid this was in the morning, we went to Oxford for my son to maybe go to graduate school. Next day, went to Cambridge, come back and see a play. The play, Hello, Dolly, I do not like musicals, was the greatest thing I ever saw in my life. It was the actress is unbelievable. I was laughing. It was great. I saw Mousetrap for the 5th time. I can't see it again because I know the ending. But the next day we went to Canterbury. Now, Canterbury is like a historically unbelievable place. It's the most important church in England. And when you read, the Robin Hood stories, they come out of Canterbury because Richard II was off at war and the Archbishop had to raise the money and he became a villain. But it's amazing what goes on in these places. So there's places you could go, but I would say that, let me tell you my idea for March, which I might do. You can think about this. I learned how to ride the rails all over Europe. I learned every in and out. I was on trains everywhere. I took a train from London to Crewe to Holyhead, got on an Irish ferry, ended up in Dublin. My story about Dublin is what we taught some other time. It's unbelievable. But if I go, I will go again. I will only go to smaller cities. Innsbruck, Austria, unbelievably great. Salzburg, Austria, tremendous. Liechtenstein, I went to, great. In Tilsburg, wonderful. And one last story of why it's the opposite in Copenhagen and the Scandinavian countries. When you get on a train in Copenhagen and go to Sweden, which I did, and go all around Copenhagen, you have a ticket, you bought a ticket, first class, you get in first class, nobody comes to ask you for the ticket. They all know everybody bought a ticket because everybody in Copenhagen and Denmark is an upstanding, no crime, no violence. They don't have to ask for a ticket because you wouldn't have got on the train. It's 1954 in Copenhagen. Go to Brussels, never go to Brussels. I never get out of the train station. Land in Brussels, all the illegal crazy stuff has happened. You get off. What's the first announcement? Hold on to your wallet. There are pickpockets everywhere. Guys with guns. It's like I entered like 2002 Detroit at night. I'm in an alley. I mean, it's the opposite. So when I go back, I may put out a notice, Rob. You may have to come. I'm gonna be in this city on March 1st. I have a Eurail pass in first class. I am going to ride the rails without a reservation for a month. I leave out of Athens, Greece on April 1st. I'm going wherever the hell I want. I may just do that, but I'm never going back to one of these I'm not going to Zurich ever again. Not very friendly people. Never were when I was there anyway. Never going to London. Never going to certain giant cities again, like London. And I feel bad saying it because I love London. I love it. I know it pretty well. I was there 51 times in my life. I'll never go again.
But when you were walking around London and you saw all these people,
It was
did they
crazy.
try to harass you at all?
No one tried to harass me. No, nobody was harassing me. It just was so overcrowded. So by the grace of God, it never got above 70. If it had been 89, the stench and the smell would have overridden me. I would have I don't know what I would have done. But at 70 degrees with the wind blowing every day, it was like, okay, we can handle this. But it was so crowded. It's hard to believe. So if you're taking a trip, go to Krakow, Poland. It's a medium city, wonderful people, totally friendly. They all speak English, and there's great things to see. Those are the cities I'm going to go back to next summer or in the spring. And I may just ride the rails, and it may just be my wife. My kids won't be able to come, but I may just do that for a month.
As far as the cities you went to, and we'll end on this, London had the worst of the Hamas protests. Did you see any of that in Paris? Did you see any of that in Brussels?
I was only in Paris for 5 hours. I didn't see it. But the molecular opposite of London is Poland. Yeah. Like, so for example, Poland in Krakow, just as an example, there are 3 guys who get drunk. They're Polish people, but they're drunk. Cops go up and say, you, and you, get out of here. They don't put up with any nonsense. So what I would do is mayor kind of stuff. Everything's clean. It's cheap. People are friendly. They speak English. They love America. They're appreciative. They love the Pope, who was from Poland. There's signs of him everywhere. They're religious. They go to church. Mm-hmm. That's the opposite. Now, if you want to see, a really cohesive but expensive place, that's Denmark or Oslo. I didn't make it back to Oslo. Oslo is still my favorite place, but I haven't been back there in years. I want to go back there soon.
Can you take the train to Norway? Or?
Yeah, you can take it. In fact, I hate to tell people this because you'll do it. Next summer, I may have to get a reservation now. You know how I like to get to certain places in America, like you got to do now, like Yellowstone or something for next year? There are trains that go to the Arctic Circle to see reindeer in the middle of the summer. Really? I'm doing that next year, but I'm going to get a ticket soon and do that.
Is it extremely expensive?
No, it doesn't cost any money. Once you get a Eurail pass, and I figured out how to work the system, you can go into 33 countries and not spend any money. There are exceptions. The Channel, the expensive Eurostar train, you have to pay extra, but you only pay a little extra because you have a Eurail pass. Yeah. Even the Irish ferry, I went on a ferry, Ferry, because who knows who's listening, went on a ferry across the Irish Sea, something I always wanted to do in first class, and it was the most wonderful experience.
Just when you told the Irish people you ran against Trump, did they get excited? Because they hate Trump in Ireland, but that golf course over there.
On my phone, I keep the article in the Irish paper about me running. And a genealogist named Martin Curley wrote about me. And so I had so all the time, because my name's Stephen Patrick Laffey. So I would say, hi, I'm Stephen Patrick. Now, Laffey in Glasgow is a well-known, whoa, Laffey, Stephen Patrick Laffey. That's pretty good. And I'm Stephen with a PH, Catholic. And so I pull out the article and I say, this is actually me. Now, they all get the Connaught Times or the Irish, they all know the paper. They're looking at a picture of me. And I just scrolled down and said, I took on Trump. I was the first guy to take on Trump. Now, all of a sudden, I'm getting free food. I mean, I'm on Hill Street Blues in 1980. I'm the cop at the restaurant in New York City. I'm in Serpico. I mean, everybody's like, wow, this is great. People. I mean, I'm honest to God, there are people now in Ireland trying to find me a second home. Not the brokers. People who own restaurants. I got to send some books. In fact, I get the right here. People in Kong, they're like, you got to come have a second home. Now, because here's the thing. They all hate Trump. Yeah. I never met anybody like Trump. No one said, you took on Trump, I don't like you. That would happen, obviously in Arkansas, right? So, but they all loved it. And it's like, I have the greatest calling card. I could do this next year when I'm in Ireland. And I will go to Ireland. But here's the other thing, folks. Another city to never go to. Don't go to Dublin. If you get to Dublin, get the hell out. Something radically wrong in Dublin. I'm never going there. Don't fly out of Dublin. Something's radically wrong there with the 5 different things you check. Go to Shannon, or do what I did. Take the ferry across and just hop in and I rented a car. Now,
is that because Dublin's like very woke? Is that why you're saying that?
It's overcrowded. It's very woke. The food isn't so great. I did take Stephen to see Trinity University, Trinity College.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful place. It's overrun with people, but nothing in Ireland. For example, I'll give you another example. You think you can only go to Paris to see the Impressionist painters like Renoir, like Monet. Now, I don't know much about painting, but my wife loves this stuff. I actually say it's pretty good. Fine, great. She loves it. I love it. We've been married 30 years. That's how you stay married. I love it. If it doesn't really matter, you always say, I love it. If it matters, you're like, hey, we can't really do that. But there are many museums that we went into. There's one in Vienna that has as many Monets as there's nobody in this museum. When I say nobody, it's Van Gogh, it's Monet, it's Renoir, whatever his name is. And there's nobody there. There's one in Liechtenstein. When I say there's nobody there, I'm in a museum. There's nobody on the floor but me. My wife's on another floor. There's a Van Gogh. Why would people not go see the Van Gogh? Why do they have to go? I went to the Van Gogh in Amsterdam. Don't get me wrong. But there were these museums that are in Zurich same thing. Not in Ireland. Ireland, they got some. I mean, it looks like I could do some of the paint. I'm not making. It's not. They don't have the same stuff. Remember, they were oppressed. The Irish people are the toughest people. I know every country can say that, but these people are tough, and they've been successful. And the Irish miracle, by the way, so people know the Irish miracle is about taking corporate income taxes really low and having a well-educated, skinny, not big healthcare expense workforce and driving growth for 30 years to heights that were never thought possible from the 90s. And my biggest mistake in investment in the 90s, when I saw this about to happen, and I kind of knew it, I should have bought a place in Ireland then. Yeah. That was a big mistake.
When you told people you were from America, whether it was in Ireland, England, Austria, wherever it may be, were they giving you a lot of crap? Or
no, nobody gave me any crap ever about that. Irish people love Americans. I'm Stephen Patrick Laffey, so I didn't get, I didn't come as Italian whatever guy for speaking with an accent. I rented the home. The housekeeper was great. She's looking for a home for me. The closest you can get to that is I think the total indifference in London. Mm-hmm. Although we ate some good restaurants, the plays are still great. Probably just indifference, which is sad because who's our greatest ally? Yeah. UK. The thing about the UK that is so frustrating to watch, because I agreed with Brexit, getting out, getting away, stopping people from coming to your country, control your own country. They always had the pound. They never had the euro. By the way, Poland doesn't have a euro, so they control their own currency. So what I totally don't understand, again, bad leadership from Boris Johnson on, is why didn't they have a plan? Like the plan should have been, we're getting out of Brexit. We're going with a free trade agreement with the United States. We're joining NAFTA. I don't know. How could they not have gotten that done under Obama? I don't know, somebody.
I think they thought that they were never going to leave Brexit.
Yeah, maybe you're right, but they were trying to, and they did, but they have no plan. So because of that, they're losing business because
Yeah.
I mean, just so people know, if you want to be like the UK and you're going to have to hitch a ride to America no matter what, they have an aircraft carrier. They don't have a battle group. Their aircraft carrier has to go around with ours because we have battle groups. We have battleships with our aircraft carrier. They don't have this stuff, which is always dangerous to see. But no, I think people in Paris love America. I mean, the guy who ran the hotel, Zane, and generally speaking, people appreciate. Now, if you're the ugly American and you're drunk, I've seen this act many times, going by me, pushing people drunk. But if you're polite, have a beautiful wife like a polite son like mine, who's like, "Sir, what do you think we should have for dinner?" People like bend over backwards for Americans. They want
Yeah.
Polish people, maybe especially people in Copenhagen, love America. I never see any of this stuff. But again, I'm walking around without tattoos on my face, fairly normal guy,
Right.
saying thank you, or
Yeah.
saying, here's the other thing that people don't do that I find among even friends. If you travel, no matter what you think about the place, tell people it's the greatest place you've ever been. Everywhere I go, this is the greatest place. I can't believe this. People live there, right? I mean, I don't necessarily do it in Detroit, I guess, because I never go there. But people live there trying to find something good, even if you're in a crappy place. And then people like you're complimenting them. I can't tell you how many times I see things where it's like, you know, the blah 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 blah. I'm like, don't tell people the airport sucks. I'll tell you, but don't tell them when you're there. Just say, oh, thank you so much. This is great. And people will appreciate it a lot more. But I don't see every American doing that. That's my lesson for you if you go, not you personally, for people listening. When you go, no matter where you go. Now, in Krakow, Poland, Auschwitz, I made myself go. I did not want to go. I took Stephen Jr., my wife. I wanted Stephen to go. He's 16. The next person who says it didn't happen on that, I hate to tell you what, the way they do the presentation over 3 hours is so matter of
Wow.
fact with no exclamation point, with the videos, with the photos. It's hard to think that you're not just like, it's so matter of fact. People came in, on average, they live 7 hours. Here's what happened to him. This guy, here's a photo of him. He says, you go there, you're dead. Here you go. It just goes on and on and on, on and on and on and on for 3 hours. And you're just overwhelmed with the whole thing. And thankfully they kept it. The reason it's still there, the reason Krakow never got bombed is that the Germans loved it so much. People don't know this from history. They never wanted to bomb it at all, no matter what. And then they had to flee and the Russians came. So Krakow was totally in place as a city to visit. Never got bombed like obviously Dresden, the opposite, destroyed, right? Anyway, these are my lessons. But anyway,
All right. Yeah,
anyway, that was great.
we'll put a pin in it there. I know we went in all different directions, but we're gonna make some clips and cuts and put out the whole
Yeah,
dang
yeah.
thing
I'll
in
send you the
general.
map
But
of where I went to. You get a kick out of the map. I have a little map on my thing. I'll send it to you just for you to see. It's funny where we went in 26 days. And I mean, we got backpacks. We didn't check a bag. I had the whole thing
wow.
planned out. We got one in the front, one in the back, found a new manufacturer, and we just, three people just going and going and going.
All right, we'll end there.